call the meeting to order. Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on the meeting. I'm Sandy Brock. When I call your name, please confirm that you can hear me by verifying that you are present. Starting with the commissioners, Travis,
I'm here.
so Jonathan,
Present.
Amira,
Here.
and Noah.
I'm here.
And we'll go with staff, Leah
I'm here.
and Jan.
Present.
Very good. This open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, as most recently extended on March 29, 2023. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. This meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. This is done on the phone by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your queue. During periods of public comment, participants must use the raise hand icon in the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. This is done on the phone by pressing *9 and then *6 to unmute when you are called upon. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time and will be promoted to speak. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by a roll call vote. As a reminder, the Commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside this purview need to be addressed to the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the Select Board, and traffic concerns must be addressed with the Planning Board. Okie doke. Any place you want to start, Leah?
Well, our first hearing is at 7:10, so if you want to jump right into that, it's 7:11.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just open a couple of things and we'll get right into that. Okay, go back here. All right, so we'll be doing 215 Worcester Street. Okay. I do have to make it larger on my screen so I can actually read it. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will act upon a notice of intent for 215 Worcester Street. And this is a continuation, correct?
Nope, we're just opening it
Oh,
tonight.
it's just opening up? Okay.
Yep.
I'll read the whole thing then. Let me see here. So, we'll act upon a notice of intent, application for Grafton Stormwater Bylaw, an application for Grafton Wetlands Permit for the redevelopment of the plaza at 215 Worcester Street and 1 Hawthorne Street. So who's here to speak to that for the applicant?
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Kate O'Donnell. I'm from Ecotech, environmental scientist. I'm representing the applicant, Brian Fitzgerald from 215 Properties. I believe he might be here if he could be pulled in as well to be a panelist. And then as well as John Federico from Guerriere and Halnan, who's the project engineer. I don't know if they could raise their hand maybe.
Yeah, I just promoted John Federico, but I don't see Brian Fitzgerald.
Okay. That's okay. So I'll just jump in then. So the site is 2 parcels that are abutting, and it's about 2 acres in size. So if you want to pull up the plan, I can go through the existing conditions. So that's proposed, but there are 2 existing commercial buildings on the property. Yep. And then there's existing paved areas as well. It's almost entirely paved. The site does not have any bordering vegetated wetlands on site or within 100 feet of the site, but there is a piped stream that does flow underneath the site. And that's shown with that D line through the center of the site there. And so the inlet to that pipe, it starts over 300 feet to the north, and then the outlet to that stream pipe is about 300 feet to the south of the site. So there's no daylighted resource areas on the site, but there is that pipe stream. So we're conservatively providing or applying a 100-foot buffer zone to that stream pipe. I believe that's kind of how it's been interpreted previously. I think there was a previous filing about a year ago for some remediation activity on this site, which has since been completed. And so this project, if you want to go down a slide, is proposing to redevelop the site, including repaving a lot of areas, new parking spaces, new walkways, an outdoor amenity space on that first building, and then an outdoor play space. I think that's a daycare there. And so on the bottom of this page, if you want to zoom in, there's a table that shows the existing and proposed impervious and pervious areas. I'll just wait. So there's a net reduction in pavement by about close to 5,000 square feet, and then in concrete there's a reduction in 12,000 square feet, and then in pervious areas there's an increase in like 7,000 square feet, and so that would be like landscaped areas and some lawn areas. So it's a net improvement to the site relative to impervious area. And then the applicant, if you scroll over to the right, is also proposing as part of this notice of intent. Actually, I think if you go up a page, is proposing, and yeah, right south of that top building, they're going to be proposing to replace that stream pipe. And then there are 2 catch basins that drain into that pipe. And so those would be upgraded as well with deep hooded sump catch basins, which would provide some treatment to the stormwater discharges prior to entering the stream, which is an improvement relative to existing conditions. And so that work would be done in the dry. Right now the stream is dry. It's an intermittent stream, and we are in a drought, so it would be ideal conditions right now. And lastly, we did receive a DEP file number for this project this afternoon, which I'm happy to go through with you all if that's something you would like. None of them were particularly concerning, and I did respond to 2 of them. Would you like me to go through them?
So that's hard for us to kind of react because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to present them, but we'd want to take a look at them and so forth. It's we don't, it's the comments and so forth that we would,
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I can definitely give you time to review them, but I'll just give a quick summary and a quick response to each of them. So the first one is about a stream crossing replacement NOI in a limited project, and saying that stream crossing standards should be evaluated and met to the maximum extent practicable. And again, this stream pipe is only being replaced on the portion of the property that the applicant owns. The inlet and outlet are on private property, and we're not able to, replace the entire stream crossing length. So we can't really do any improvement relative to stream crossing standards without, working off-site. The next comment was about whether the stream is considered a perennial. And I did provide the mapping, the 2024 mapping, which shows it as intermittent, as well as a stream stats analysis, and that shows that it's intermittent as well. So there's no riverfront area on the site. And then additionally, the stream culvert's like 700 feet long. So there wouldn't be a riverfront area associated with a stream that flows into a pipe over 200 feet. And then the next one is about the groundwater recharge is not proposed due to monitoring existing soil. And that's related to the remediation activities that I'm sure you all are aware of. And we can provide more information if necessary for that. But again, you wouldn't want to recharge in a contaminated or formerly contaminated site.
So, yeah, and you can get into that and let us know, what are the constraints to that? Do you have an AUL on the site, or is the site still in remediation? And those type of details you can let us know too.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a comment. I don't know that there's an active AUL on the site, but I think they were considering it. I think I'd have to get more information
Okay.
from Brian. So more information on.
I do apologize for interrupting. Brian has informed me, and this is John Federico with Guerrier and Helmond, that he is now in the participation group. If he could be promoted to a panelist, just in case if he wants to shed any additional information for that remediation work out there.
I might be in now. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, you are.
Hi, Kate. It's Brian Fitzgerald. And
Hi,
hello
Brian.
to the board. I apologize. Definitely challenged on the technology and my older stuff there, but I got an app update, so glad I'm in. I just caught the last part of that conversation. Would you like me to address some of those questions?
So at this point, we're in just the phase of having the introduction to the project. So, and I was just giving a heads up about an AUL, but we'll ask questions once you guys are finished with your presentation.
Sure.
It will go through the commission.
Very good. Thank you for acknowledging.
So I'll just continue on. And then they asked for TSS sheets, which we can definitely provide. And then the last two are just recommendations for conditions, which include that the work be done in the dry, or that we provide a construction sequence plan. But as I said, the work would definitely be done in the dry if possible. So, and then the last one is a condition for signing an illicit discharge statement prior to the start of work, and perpetual conditions for the O&M plan. So if you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to discuss.
Yeah, so we'll have to look at this and kind of come up with those questions. It's hard to do that when this is live being shown to us. So, anything else?
I believe that's all on my end. John, if you have anything to add, or Brian.
Yeah, I'll first turn it over to Brian in case there's anything specific you would like to highlight. And then I could just briefly recap some of the more finer details on the construction work if any of the commission members would like me to go over that portion.
Sure. In regards to, I did hear you comment on as far as an AUL attached to the site. There isn't at this time. I just had a level 2 audit with the DEP, and they were happy and pleased with the progress that it's been making. We've been in constant contact between the LSP, which is Adam West, and the DEP. In regards to the culvert, we are doing, with the outcome of this, the modification. It's already noted and planned into the RAM, but we're going to update them with the modification on the RAM plan, pending the outcome of all this. And I did hear Kate mention about how, yes, a lot of the culvert is going from, various parcels of property throughout. We're just concerned with the piece right in the parking lot that's going through, that's exposed. Some of it has already been replaced from the front of the building out to the road a couple of years ago. And this would be the back portion and the structure that's out there. The structure is not in the greatest shape, so that wants to be replaced over there. And as far as the site itself, I did hear some mention as I first tuned in about the recharging. There is a concern, speaking with Adam Last, the LSP, that we don't want to really do too much to try to disturb it hydrologically by introducing a lot more flows. It's noted in the Ross plan, which is that we're moving to a final closure on the site. But because of the targeted wells and the ongoing monitoring, they don't want to force new pathways at all. They prefer to see natural attenuation take place on the site. And we are making it more pervious. Obviously, it's pretty much a asphalt jungle over there at this point. But that will be a slow percolation through, and it's done through grassed areas where we'll be picking up a lot more, or holding the discharge sediments. So. I hope I can address any other questions you have. I'm not an engineer, certainly, but I have been in constant contact with the LSP and fairly well versed on it.
I appreciate the information. Yeah, because we'll probably we'll chat about it, just like what our jurisdiction is, the extent of that, as a an extent to our stormwater requirements, those type of things. So I don't know if your engineer has a little bit more to add to what was already spoken about by Kate.
Yeah, so just to kind of briefly touch upon a couple of those comments. I know when Leah was going through our submittal package, she did have a few comments, particularly about the TSS removal on there. Based on consultant feedback that we've been receiving regarding the soil conditions out there and not trying to force in any extra water, we haven't proposed any sort of recharge systems, but through our drainage calcs, we are showing that we do have a net improvement on the site by reducing our post-development runoff rates, as well as volumes across all storm events. In addition to this, we are doing some repairs on the existing structures out there. They seem to be, from our field observations, like hand-formed structures over the years. Doesn't necessarily have like a full 4-foot sump or anything like that. So we are planning to move one of the catch basins offline of the stream crossing, add in a new manhole. So at least we are going to be getting in some additional TSS where we're expecting majority of the flow to be happening. Other portions of the site are draining to catch basins located out within the Worcester Street right of way, as well as the adjacent Williams and Hawthorne's roads. So with regards to any sort of like improvements that we personally can do on those, a lot of the flow and treatments is not already be provided by the existing system. So that was something we did want to show. At least we are making the improvements, but have any further discussions either with peer review or the commission as needed about not trying to address surrounding properties concerns just through Brian's project. And at least just trying to satisfy specific requirements for redevelopment on this particular site.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Outside of that, we do intend to have the amenity space as some type of impervious or semi-impervious area. That might be like a paver patio type of thing, or the tenant might ultimately go and have that be concrete. And in terms of the play space for the southern building that's going to be associated with the daycare, Brian, I don't know if we had official confirmation of what that material will be there, but we do note that we will have some landscaping around that portion of the site to facilitate any type of infiltration via surface runoff, not directly recharge related.
Yeah, I mean, most play structures, they're what they have now for surface cover is porous. Almost all the ones I've seen lately for the last few years, they're actually porous systems, and that has more to do with all the other regulations around the fall area and those type of things. But something to kind of look at. It doesn't mean it has to be, but generally in and around play structures, it is porous material.
It is Brian's intention. Oh, sorry, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just gonna comment in speaking to the owners of or the owners, I should say, the leasing of that particular building there, that will be a pervious area that's in the
Yeah.
play yard.
Yeah, it's just how how the structures and how that based on a lot of different things, it has generally have transformed that almost all play structure area. Ground cover is porous now, and it has to do with other things than just stormwater. But yep, okay.
All right, great. Outside of that, we do have standard erosion control proposed for the site. We are proposing a construction entrance off of Joncas Terrace. Anything going around the site, we were proposing the use of a mulch sock or an equivalent where everything is pavement and don't have a lot of good locations to tow in any sort of silt fence there. Also, with the fact that the site is relatively flat, being an existing parking area, we did not foresee the need to have any sort of silt fence, towed in, 6+ inches into the ground for something like that. Around any and all catch basins that are exposed there, we are proposing silt sacks as well as a straw bale filter berm. And I believe that generally covered everything that we were proposing right now for erosion control. We do include details with our plan set, and everything else is noted on the erosion control sheet.
All right. And this is over an acre,
Yes, it is.
Yes.
and it's so you'll have to get a general construction permit.
Yes.
Okay. And again, from our perspective, we don't really review or comment on that. It's just more if you're having to do a SWIP, then we'd like a copy of it just to know what the requirements are through the construction general permit. That's all.
Very well.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
contractor has done a lot of work in Grafton. He's well known in there, and
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of standard. It's nothing really other than just we want the information of what the contractor has to follow. So that's all. If that's it for the presentation, Leah, you want to give your report on this?
Sure. We covered a lot of the points, but I would echo DEP in that we should talk through procedures for that pipe replacement. If we could see some detail on that would be good. And then I just noted that they are proposing temporary impacts of 400 linear feet to bank for that pipe replacement. And they also did a waiver request for our no disturb.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have right now.
Yeah. And one other question I had is just because this came up actually at the Cumberland Farms right across the street, is that they end up having to get an Army Corps permit because it was relocating a stream. And I don't remember the details of that, to be quite honest. That's one thing we can check in our records on why that was, but I do remember that was a perennial river, and I'm curious all the different culverted quote unquote streams that are going through here, because there was one, I believe, if my memory is correct, that was involved with they relocated it for the Cumberland Farms. So, but that should not impact your site. I'm just curious where it went to and why it had to have the Army Corps permit. But that was quite a few years ago, and I'd have to check the record because I don't want to rely on my memory.
We can dig into that.
Yeah, it's more just a heads up and providing you information. And again, it's a little foggy, but we did have to go through it. It was a similar type of submission where there was no wetlands other than the culvert and so forth. And again, from our perspective, we're looking at two things, which is one is the Wetlands Protection Act, our wetlands bylaw. So that's the wetland side of it. And that's pretty confined to the culvert and the stream being culverted at, since way before your project. And the other one is the stormwater requirements under the local bylaw and that aligns with the MS4 stuff. So those are the two parts that we're really looking into, as you're not within any other that we know of. You're not in any other jurisdictional locations. So anything else, Leah? Otherwise, I'll go around the commission and find out if other people have questions.
I did think of one more. We have in our stormwater bylaw, we have that commercial uses need to have a shutdown and containment measure for their stormwater system. Is this is technically a commercial site?
I would look at kind of the commercial use of it. So if you're talking a daycare, and I don't know what the other building's going to be, if it was a gas station or something, yeah, I think that's a good discussion. To be honest, I'd want to read that section in our stormwater bylaw again, just to read what is defined as commercial.
Okay.
So I haven't seen that. I'll go around and see if any of the other commissioners have questions. I'll start with Travis.
I'm looking at the aerial right now, and there's a lot of green space, and I did just a rough calculation of area, and I'm just trying to figure out, is the existing pervious area just based on what it used to be, or based on like it's kind of degraded now and there's a lot of vegetation growing on the site?
So to clarify that comment, John Federico with Guerrier and Helmon. Currently, we're basing the pervious numbers that we have off of the historical pervious areas out there. Some work has recently been done to remove a couple buildings. Concrete pads have had, over time, some dirt and stuff that have fluffed up over it, and some sporadic grass growth has occurred out there. But nothing that we would truly count as a ready usable pervious area out there. Historically for the site, going back to even 2010, 2012 range, everything but I believe it was approximately 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, with most of it down by the Southern Daycare and Hawthorne Road, has been all pervious areas out there. And as some buildings and stuff have been removed and some of those concrete pads have been removed, it's just kind of naturally taken over. But again, nothing that we would truly classify as pervious in that original site.
And then, thank you for that. Yeah, if I go back to like 2015, I've got that aerial, I can see that. So that makes sense. And then
could I add to that by any chance? Your question? It's Brian Fitzgerald.
You have the floor.
Oh yeah, go for it.
No, I just wanted to mention also, when they're doing some of the digging out there, I did find there was a layer of asphalt underneath a lot of what was existing dirt behind the 215 building, somewhat near where the remediation work was done. And a lot of that I have taken up where I've been able to expose it and disposed of the asphalt. But that was underneath a lot of that dirt. It was probably a parking lot at one point right up to the back of the building. And then they just filled it in, made a crown there with dirt. So there's a layer that took place in there.
Thank you. And then one other question, and this might be something for peer review or just discussion next time. The proposed pervious, it appears to me like it's mostly landscape beds along the perimeter of the site. And I'm wondering if those are designed in a way to actually serve as like water filtration, or are they just pervious area?
Right now,
sense.
Brian, sorry about that. You can start off.
No, I was just going to mention a lot of those beds. I did speak to the town about that. What we'd like to do is they will be, they won't be on top of asphalt. Obviously, those will all be cut beds. And there's gravel, quite a bit of gravel in there from digging all up throughout that entire site. It was probably a lot of peat at one point back there and some type of a marsh. But there's got to be up and down, 4 or 5 feet in certain areas, and it's all gravel to that point. And I think beyond actually in a lot of areas. But the area with the beds, those are going to have a lot of stone in them as well. So they will be open and pervious. And I would assume that stone just not only slowing the percolation, but it will be some type of filter effect to that. And there will be silt fabricated, obviously, to keep material from growing up and out of it.
Okay.
Anything else, Travis?
Not right now. No.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, any questions?
Snow storage. It's a pretty, like we've heard, there's a lot of asphalt out there, so there's going to be snow and ice and whatever you're moving around. Is it planned to put all that snow just more for the stormwater when it all melts, and what you get as coming off the site? Is that going into the beds? Is that specific? I don't see an area that says snow storage, or looks like most of this site can be driven on, parked on, etc. So I don't know if there was an area that was designated for snow storage, or is it all getting hauled off?
Brian Fitzgerald, if I could take that one also. The amenity area, as it's shown on the plan, looks like that entire area, I believe it's almost 6,000 feet, is for all amenity area. It is not going to be. A good portion of that will just be grass. There'll be some type of screening in between that period for the restaurant in the back. There's going to be it's a microbrew that's going to be out there, family-friendly tap room. And there will be a small area for them. And then the rest of that I would utilize as not just green space, but for snow storage also. And that will be on probably a grass landscaped area. Not with shrubbery or anything in that area because of the snow removal, but probably grasses, that are seasonal that we can cut down in the wintertime and be able to push snow and they still survive. So.
Okay. I didn't have any other questions.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Amira, are there any questions?
I don't have any right now.
Okay. And Noah, any questions?
No questions from me.
Okay, sure. And I think I've already asked a couple. I mean, my big questions are more just some of the DEP things, and also just making sure we are all on the same page about the jurisdiction, which I think we are. It's just that I have some questions more so about the history of this area and all the culverts that run through it, and who has jurisdiction on what. I know we have it underneath the Wetlands Protection Act because of, whether it's intermittent or perennial, there's a difference there for this particular site because it's longer than 200 linear feet. There's not a lot of impacts from that culvert. It's really more about making sure that culvert is, however it's replaced. And one of the questions I have is I was just trying to look at the plans, how is it going to be relocated? In what portion of the culvert is being replaced?
So John Federico, Guerrier and Helmon. On this plan view that you're looking at right now, the southern portion is Hawthorne Road. You're able, if you were looking at the property line in the landscape area, see like a small V-like shape in the parking area. That is leading out to one of the catch basins for Hawthorne Road. So the pipe replacement would start at that structure and then proceed north towards the amenity space. And we do have a catch basin structure existing that is within the drive aisle, and a existing manhole structure closer to the building where the amenity space is located. And essentially that existing catch basin is the catch basin proposed to be replaced, set off line so that proper TSS through the 4-foot sump with hoods can be achieved there. And that entire pipe run, which I believe was about 200 and change, would be replaced up to that manhole.
Okay. And then as far as I think someone mentioned that another portion of that culvert has been replaced.
Correct. That's located along the northern portion of the upper building. There is a manhole that's approximately in the middle of our proposed parking stalls, right next to one of our handicap spaces. And the portion of pipe in between that manhole and the catch basin at the V shape within the parking area, heading out towards the Worcester Street right away. I believe that was about a 40-foot stretch of pipe that was previously replaced out there. Anything underneath the building, from my understanding, has not been replaced, but Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, it has not. It's still the existing condition underneath the building. That would be extremely difficult to try to even address that. I've looked at the pipe, inside of it. I've looked at every part of it that was accessible, and there were a couple of accessible areas. It's essentially 24-inch well liner that was done there, not jointed, but it was put together pretty well. It flows well. There's not a lot of sedimentation in it.
Yeah.
But this is going to be just replaced in place with HDEP. And because they're 20-foot lengths, it'll be a quick replacement right in the same bed. We'll just put in some fresh stone to bring it up to, proper grade. And there'll be more coverage than was existing on it prior to that.
Again, I'm not really saying that, oh, you should replace it. I'm more interested in what condition the pipe is in, just because you're replacing some of it, but not all of it. Just wondering if you had it videotaped to see. And again, this isn't something we would ask. It's more just, for information that, you're replacing a portion of it. And if that's because it's in poor condition, then my question would be just make sure that everything else is going to continue to work. Yeah, it's not something that we would direct you to do unless there was evidence that it was going to fail or something. But
and if I could add to that, Brian Fitzgerald again, the pipe itself is not in bad shape. Like I said, they put it together fairly well. It has stood the test of time, but it is the idea that it's, what's accessible. We would like to. It's mainly the structure that they built on it. They basically did risers. They chipped a hole in the well liner, built risers out of block. That's essentially where there's two structures. One right up on the, will be the south side of the front building there where the amenity areas, and then one just where the pavement meets, which is the actual catch basin. And that's what, to replace that, it just makes sense while we're doing a complete, parking lot over, to prevent any failures by going with EDP. And it would obviously keep the pipe much tighter. As far as underneath the building, there really hasn't been, even the floors in that building, any real cracks or anything. It's been pretty solid. So I've got to assume the pipe. And what I've exposed in a couple of different areas, it is all gravel. They definitely did a good fill job there. There must have been some compaction that took place before that, whether it was just a natural compaction through rain. But it's pretty tight.
And that's fine. It's more just asking the questions to make sure you're not repairing everything except for the one area that needs to be repaired, which I get it.
No.
Yeah. Just asking for that. And then I'm guessing it's probably RCP reinforced concrete pipe out there now, and you're switching into HDPE. I certainly don't have any issues with that. Pretty standard stuff. Okay. That's pretty much the questions that I have. I think we do want to have some other people take a look at it. And again, I want to do a little bit more homework on everything else in this area and what has had to get permits and what doesn't. I just want to make sure we're covering that. But at this time, what I'd like to do is open it up to the public to see if they have any questions or comments on this particular project. And again, this is Concom. What we're really interested is in that 24-inch pipe that's being replaced, because it does convey a stream, whether that's intermittent or perennial. That's a different kind of discussion, which we'll take a look at and review. But if anyone is online and they have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll let Jan see if anyone raises a hand, and we'll be more than happy to take any comments or questions. So, all right. So we just got the DEP number, and so in the comments from DEP, I think Leah is I'm just trying to figure out if this is something that needs to be peer reviewed, because
I was going to ask, you seemed to be alluding to it. I was going to ask which type you would like.
Yeah, because it's really just I'm just wondering, if the scope enough is here to have it peer reviewed. I know this is probably going through planning. Do you know if planning is having it peer reviewed?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So,
That-
so go ahead.
That letter, if it's just from planning, isn't going to cover our stormwater bylaw unless we ask for it to
Okay.
be added in. So if that's what you're concerned about, I can add that to it. They would
Yeah,
be looking under their regs.
yeah. Yeah, that's really the only thing that I'm thinking that would need to be added here. And just to see if there's any red flags or anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else at this time? So, as you know, it's the applicant that has to request a continuance. At this point, we just want to have a little bit more time with the information we just received from DEP, but also do some other background just to make sure that we all have sufficient information for what we're looking at. Other than that, it's, our jurisdiction is somewhat contained to that pipe into stormwater. So stormwater is the other one, and if we get that, just the stormwater part peer reviewed, then we'll know if there's any other questions around that. Is there anything else, Leah, that I'm missing?
Nope, that's everything for now.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the applicant and ask if you would like to continue this to the next meeting, just so that we can kind of sort out those few things.
Yes, I would like for a continuance, please. And if would I be able to get on, you believe, for the next meeting in October 6th?
It's the 7th, but yes, that is the next meeting.
That would be terrific. Just because I'm now fighting the weather changes and the water changes.
Yeah, that's, from our perspective, we're not really looking to extend this too much. We just need to just a little bit more time to make sure we look
Sure.
at everything.
No, I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
And then Jan, anyone raising their hands?
Nothing from the public.
All right, thank you on that. The applicant has requested a continuance. I'm going to go quickly around the commissions to see if anyone else have any questions at this time, and then we'll just move to do a motion. So I'll go with the same order. Travis, any other
Nope.
things since that?
Nothing else for me.
Great. Jonathan?
Nope, nothing for me.
Amira?
Nothing for me.
Noah?
No questions.
And I have no further questions at this time. So based on that, and no one from the public has raised their hand. So could I have a motion to continue this hearing to our next meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second for continuance. We'll do a roll call vote. Travis, you're on my screen. You get to go first.
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Amira,
Yes.
and Noah.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
And yeah, feel free to reach out to staff if you have any questions, or if you have any questions on the peer review. Again, we're not looking to have a whole new one. We're just looking to have our peer reviewer just add the stormwater part just to make sure we're covering ourselves. That's pretty much it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. All right, Leah. What's up next?
If we skip to the bottom, we have a bunch of folks here from the UPS team for their minor change request.
Okay, let me get that. Okay, so this is my request, so I don't need to read anything. I'm just checking the lead sheet, so don't need to do that. So why don't you promote them, or if they're already promoted, and have them we can discuss the minor change request so that would be Centennial Drive, 12 Centennial Drive. And who's here to discuss that?
Good evening, everyone. Greg Hockmuth from Epsilon Associates.
Hey, Greg, the floor's yours.
All right. So you may recall the UPS project had a small bylaw jurisdictional IVW that also met the bylaw definition of isolated land subject to flooding as well, that was approved to be filled as part of the project. There were two conditions related to that filling. One was that as soon as practicable, the replication area was to be constructed and a schedule provided to the commission and the peer review consultant, Art Allen from Ecotech. The second condition, I think it was condition 29, required that the compensatory flood storage be provided for before the area was filled in. The area was filled in this past spring, and an area was roughed in, which, based on calculations, show that it was adequate for the required flood storage. But in between the scheduling of the wetland replication area construction and the actual construction itself, it was determined that it didn't appear that we needed to install the liner that was designed for this replication area. You may recall that it was in an area that we weren't sure was going to have adequate hydrology, so the replication plan proposed a liner to be installed to ensure that hydrology would be achieved upon construction. During one of the visits with Art Allen, he and I took a close look at the site for the proposed replication area, and it's pretty clear that hydrology is not going to be difficult to achieve, which I think is great news. So this commission allowed a field change to construct a standard replication area, but to have Art and myself there to ensure that adequate hydrology is achieved. So in other words, we'll be out there while they're building it to make sure that it's deep enough. That was scheduled to be constructed this fall. That's what the current schedule calls for. The project is moving rapidly. They've got the concrete batch plant installed at the Centennial Drive access entrance. A few commission members were out there for a tour a couple of weeks ago, and we walked over and looked at that area. What the contractor is asking for is permission to hold off on constructing the replication area this fall, but to construct it instead this coming spring. It's my understanding that Art Allen is on board with the idea. He just wants to ensure that the plantings go in as soon as they can next spring to take full advantage of the spring growing season and to avoid trying to plant when things start to dry out. That's what we're here asking for tonight, is just to push this off until next spring. And really the main reason is there's just a lot going on in that area of the site right now. And it could be done, but it would be better for everyone if we could wait. And I support the schedule change as well. I don't see any harm in pushing it off until the spring. But it's ultimately up to this commission, and Art didn't feel comfortable making that change on his own, which is why we're here.
All right, appreciate that. Leah, any comments on your review of it?
No, he covered everything other than just Art did give a date range. He's hoping for the plantings to be between April 15 and May 15. So should we approve, I would just include that language in the vote.
Okay. I'll go around to the commissioners to see if anyone else has any questions. Jonathan.
Does the date range mean when they start doing that? I mean, not sure how many square feet or how many count of plants, but I'm assuming this is a couple of days worth of planting, or maybe it's a couple of weeks. But if it's a month window and they start at the end of that, is that where they're actually taking and growing, and or is it, does it matter? I guess is the question. If they put them all in on 4/15, I guess it doesn't matter. But if they don't start until 5/15 and they take their time putting these things in because they're not available or whatever else, and it becomes, what's the cutoff? I guess is it. So if that's the ideal, is that what we're requiring? Is that everything needs to be in by May 15th, or is that just the ideal? And then it would be another minor change if they couldn't or something. Because I get it, trying to stay out of the heat of the summer and the drier season.
Right. So I'll go back to Greg if based on your schedule, those dates work.
Yeah. It's not going to take long to construct this. It's already roughed in. It's the only thing that could change things is a lot of these nurseries, they put things away. They're going to start putting things away soon for the winter. And if we get a very, very frigid spring, they may decide to hold off on taking their stock out of the trailers and until a little late, but I think May 15th is plenty of cushion, certainly between April and May 15th. I think that'll be more than adequate for us to get everything done.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Jonathan?
Nope, no further questions.
All right, Travis.
I mean, that seems reasonable with that condition. I think May 15th was the traditional last frost date, so I wouldn't be surprised if we had to push it into June, which I would also be supportive of depending
Yep.
on the situation. But if we want to cut it off on May 15th, that's fine.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same page saying that, that to plant between those times unless the plant material is not available.
Yeah.
Something where that says, hey, because of weather, that planting time needs to be extended, but
Yeah.
okay. All right, Amira, any kind of questions on this?
Questions for me?
Okay, and then Noah.
No questions.
Okay, so just for everyone on the commission and anyone else who happens to be listening, when someone comes in front of the commission to ask for a change, there's actually three kind of levels. There's a minor change, which is what we're talking about now, where there's no substantial change to the design or anything, and it's really about a scheduling change request. So we would typically consider that minor. And then you also have the next one would be a major change, which we would request that the applicant do this request at a actual scheduled public hearing. And then the third, which would be, hey, this is such a big change, you have to do a new notice of intent. Obviously, this one isn't even close to that. It's really talking about something instead of being done in the fall to be done in the spring. It's a scheduling thing. And this having Noah and I were out at the site. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's understandable that it's more of a risk component for the applicant, and it's more likely that the replication area, excuse me, the planting the replication area would be more successful without 50 or 100 trucks running around in close proximity to where this basin was. So, all right. So based on that, anything else to add to that, Leah?
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay, so based on that, and based on this is a minor change, do I have a motion to approve the minor change with the condition that Leah had included regarding planting between 4:15 and 5:15 with an add-on that says as long as plant material is available? Is anyone willing to? Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the minor change with the planting restrictions between, as discussed, for 12 Centennial Drive.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Roll call vote. Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
and Amira.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, have a good one. All right, Leah, what's up next for?
Do you want to just go back to the top of action items and go down the list? I don't think we have any other attendees.
Okay, cool. As far as meeting minutes, hopefully people had an opportunity to look at them. If there's any comments or questions on them, I'll go around. I'll start with Amira since she's up on my screen.
No questions about them or comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Noah,
Nothing from me.
Travis,
Nothing for me.
Jonathan.
Nothing from.
All right, I also have nothing. So do I have a motion for both of the meeting minutes on August 5th and 2025 and September 9th, 2025?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes for August 5th and September 9th, 2025.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Amira,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
I am also a yes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, request for certificate of compliance for 8 Hudson Ave. Leah, want to give your report?
Sure. Jan, did you guys talk through this one before, or were you and I just working on it in the background?
We were working on it in the background.
Okay, so this was a single family house that came to us for a certificate of compliance. Jan had a lot of back and forth with the applicant on conditions that they had not satisfied, such as their no disturb signs, barrier, taking some debris out of the wetland, plantings they had to put in. So there was a lot of back and forth. She's been out to the site a few times, but they have now addressed everything, and we have an as-built plan from them. If you have any questions about the details of the site, Jan can answer those. Otherwise, I recommend issuing their COC.
Okay. Based on that, do I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
I'll move to issue the CO certificate of compliance for 8 Hudson Ave.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I should do this just ahead of time. If anyone have questions, let me quickly go through. Travis, any questions on it?
No.
Jonathan, any questions?
No.
Amira, any questions?
No questions.
No, Noah, any questions?
No.
I also have no questions. We have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote. Amira, on my screen, you get to go first.
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, minor change request for 60 Weston Street, formerly 62 Weston Street, Lot 2. Leah, want to give us the rundown on this?
Sure. And there is a plan that Jen can pull up while I'm giving an intro, but this is one of the lots when we permitted 3 lots from the Willard Cluck Museum that they were developing into single family house lots. So this is the middle one. It was supposed to share a common driveway with, so this is lot 2, and then the common drive was going to go into lot 3. So this applicant is developing lot 2. In the meantime, lot 3 was bought by neighbors with the intention to just preserve it. They don't want the house to be built. So on lot 2, you have the common driveway, but then it stops towards the lot line. He has told us that he's been unable to source such a small amount of porous pavement for this small segment of driveway. He said he's talked to many plants that make the material, and they don't make such a small batch. So he's
that does not surprise me.
He's proposing through his engineer, like rerouting the stormwater off the driveway into the trench that's next to the driveway, and then like that links to the underlayment of the what would have been under the porous pavement.
Gotcha.
So I had sent this idea to Jeff Walsh at Graves Engineering, our peer reviewer. He said it seemed reasonable. He was waiting for a sketch, which when I wrote this report, you'll see that he hadn't weighed in on it yet. He did weigh in on it this afternoon. He said he had no issues, but that he did want the vote to capture that they're going to put a vehicle turnaround at this now like dead end common driveway so that folks can pull back out straight onto Weston Street instead of backing out because it's a really blind corner. So he just wanted to make sure that if we're approving a change, that we just also reflect that there'll be a little turnaround at the end of the driveway now.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so the plan that we're looking at, which lot is that? That's
this lot, 60 Wesson, aka lot 2. And as you can see, the driveway was going to go south into lot 3. That's the one that's not going to be developed.
okay. And so when you say you're going to have a turnaround, which is fine, the only thing I'm asking is that you wouldn't go to the property line and do a turnaround.
So Jeff did throw a couple pictures in there that I put in Dropbox as well, that he's showing the end of the driveway and what that looks like roughly. So that should help.
Yeah. I think it's pretty easy, but it's, again, yeah, if we can see those, that would be great. So that's the driveway where it ends at the property line?
So if we go back to the plan for a second, Jan, sorry. So that is about, it's about where the two arrows are in the driveway.
Okay. So since this driveway is only going to be serving that house that we see right here, I don't see why they wouldn't just do the turnaround at their driveway and not bring it all the way to the end and put another turnaround in.
He had already constructed all the base layers of the whole thing before he went looking for the porous
Okay.
pavement.
Gotcha. All right.
Just to, I mean, wouldn't that increase, so if they're doing a turnaround, wouldn't that increase the impervious, or they just suggested very small, or whatever, it's gonna put more pavement, or it's gonna be gravel? And what's the expected use of it? Like, is it, if it's Amazon vans and things like that, they turn around in all of our driveways constantly, so, are they expecting 18-wheelers to come down the street and try to turn around, or is this just Amazon, UPS delivery vehicles? Because I agree with what Sandy just questioned, which is why not pull into the driveway and turn around? That would kind of it's an increase of pavement area, and it seems unnecessary to me, but maybe that's outside of our jurisdiction, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if the planning board or someone else is saying you have to bring the driveway to the lot line. I guess I'm just looking why I get that the subsurface was there, probably just as good to, put gravel or something on it. I'm just wondering, since you can't do porous and since it's not going anywhere, I'm just trying to be practical about not increasing the amount of imperviousness. That's all. I mean, I agree with Jeff Walsh's assessment that, putting in what's on the edge and having going into the drainage for that was underneath it. It's just a different method at how that gets there. So instead of having going through the porous pavement, it's now going to go to a swale right next to it and go underneath. That I don't have a problem with. But when I look at this particular layout of the driveway, it's like, you have this is a common driveway, it's not a road. So, if you had a really big truck, it would not be able to do anything but back up. But if you had a delivery van or a car, you could easily come in. If anything, you widen the driveway up into the house a little bit to have a bigger area of turning, but you don't need to put all the other pavement there. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I mean, in general, I don't have an issue. It just seems like there's a natural turnaround already.
So I have a couple thoughts. One is I don't know exact square footage figures, but I think the idea was adding a bit of a turnaround here in place of the pavement that's not going to go on lot 3, because this was designed all as one system.
Right.
Was kind of a trade-off, if you will, in impervious. Well, I don't have the exact square footage numbers. The other thing is, if we zoom in a little bit, I think that red call out says proposed limit of constructed driveway
Oh, okay.
on that corner. So I might be a little bit off in saying that the end is about where the arrows are. But I do not see a call out of where the turnaround itself is.
See, that makes sense where you would quote end the construction of the driveway, but then go another 20 feet to provide a place that an Amazon van, an other type of delivery van, something not large that could be turned around. I think that makes sense, and not have to construct the rest of it. Yeah. I agree with Jeff's kind of assessment that, it's a little bit safer and it makes it a little bit easier to do, but that, again, this got approved, without that consideration.
Leah, or is he suggesting like a little cul-de-sac, like a little balloon space where the truck can actually drive around and drive out? Or is he simply suggesting that, like Sandy just said, they drop from the proposed limit of constructed driveway, they pave 20, 30 more feet, whatever, so it can be a 3-point turn?
Right.
Yeah, it's just a
That-
T intersection to turn around.
Correct. Not a cul-de-sac or anything.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, that's really ultimately up to the owner. I can understand the safety, but that's more of a planning board issue than it is our issue. But as far as, as far as the porous pavement, I certainly don't have an issue with that as a minor change. As far as the turnaround goes, we just need to see something. I guess for a minor change, I don't particularly want to put something in that we don't really know what the minor change is. I think it's simple. And I don't think they need to do a minor change because that pavement's already on the plan. It's more like they're just not building the entire common driveway, which is less of an issue for us and more of an issue for the planning board. So let me quickly go around and just ask folks. Jonathan, anything further to add to that?
no,
Travis?
So I think I missed this, but is the planning board going to get rid of this common drive? So like, is there any potential in the future for this third lot to finish off this common drive? Does that make sense?
If it was a private, so this is where the question about, how it got approved and the common driveway got approved, which I don't know a whole lot about. But typically, unless the person who bought the lot puts some sort of restriction on it or something happens with that lot to say they're not doing a building lot there, they can anytime in the future develop that lot and then have that because they have rights to that common driveway and that can be completed in the future.
So are we approving this minor change, assuming that that third lot will never get developed?
The change for the drainage, the change for the drainage is us saying that instead of doing the porous pavement, what you can simply do is you have the section of the porous pavement. So instead of the water going through the porous pavement at all altogether, it's going to go onto the stone adjacent to it, and then that's going to go into the stone underneath the driveway. So it's just a different route of where the water is. So if the common driveway is pitched towards on this plan west, and you have a catchment area and it brings it down underneath the drainage, it's just a different route for the water to get into that storage underneath the porous pavement. So to me, there's the question on, hey, there's a revision to the drainage simply because they can't get a batch of porous pavement that small, which doesn't surprise me. Because
Okay, so
yeah.
Let me ask it one more different way. Sandy, if they were still building that entire common drive, would you have concerns about this alternative plan?
So that alternative plan would have to be used to the extent of the property line, which is what we will say in any kind of minor change. Then as far as the lot below it, if they go to do something, they will have the same issue of they could put porous pavement if they can get it.
Or this
if
alternative.
Not. Yeah.
Okay. Then I think I'm okay with the plan as discussed.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we want a little more info.
Yeah, it's more like we don't want to go into planning board kind of, and I don't know if they make them do I have no idea. I don't know if they're going to say, hey, you have to go to the property line because that's what you own. I don't know. That's not for us to decide. But it's more like, okay, let's make sure we're covering what we need to do, which is the stormwater minor change, which just gives them a different way of being able to capture and potentially infiltrate the driveway. So,
Okay, nothing else for me. Thanks.
okay. Who up? Jonathan, have you already you
I'm
already
good.
weighed in?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Amira, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. And then Noah, any questions on this?
No questions for me.
Okay. So yeah, so I think um Leah, I think like you know, voting on, having a motion and voting on the change in the drainage, I don't have any issue. As far as, putting the turnaround in, that sounds more like a planning board type of issue than it is a Concom issue. So I don't know if we need to, it's just that maybe we just need to make sure we say that if a turnaround is installed, then the drainage needs to make sure it meets this requirement, this
Okay.
change. Yeah. Okay. So based on that, do I have a motion to approve the minor change, which encompasses the kind of rerouting of the water of the previously porous pavement, which is now going to be standard pavement, into a swale, then into the storage underneath the driveway as an alternative to not being able to get porous pavement?
So moved.
Okay. We have motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Amira,
Yes.
Noah.
Yes.
I am also a yes. All right. Moving on. Any discussion items?
No discussion items. I have one question out of curiosity.
Yep.
What is the minimum amount of porous pavement a plant will provide?
That's a great, I would think it would have to be a batch, which means it would, so it depending upon it's getting into the fall season. So I know standard pavement a little bit better than I know porous pavement. So first of all, not all plants do porous pavement. So you have to find a plant that's doing it. And I don't know if there's a different calendar. Usually it's like November 15th for regular pavement. That's purely based on, temperature and all those type of things, that you will have most of the plants closed down in November. So it may be just due to the fact that, where the plants are and what they do for batches and where they have to go to get, to get a batch of porous pavement, which isn't going to be as available as regular pavement. I haven't seen this specific issue, but you're talking about a common driveway, which was going to be X linear feet, is now like much smaller. So it doesn't surprise me, but I don't have that information specifically.
But in your opinion, you figured it would be feasible to have done if they had done the whole driveway. It's not like I should have on my checklist of things I'm looking for to flag if someone wants to do a driveway with porous pavement.
I would say if someone wants to do a porous pavement, then they should make sure that it's available. So it really comes down to the company doing the porous system, and whether they do it. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of private, like shorter driveways
Right.
with porous, but I don't know what those numbers are.
Okay.
So, okay.
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
I had, so I saw the note about the select board. So
Yeah.
I should be able to be in attendance there. I didn't respond to it yet, but I should be able to be in attendance there. I didn't know if there was anything. Does that mean that folks that are presenting, like, is that going to be an in-person everyone meeting, including that's a new one in my 5-something years.
Yeah.
So didn't know if we could talk about it briefly.
It's new to me too. I don't have a ton of details, but I know they intended to have a joint meeting, so each of us will post an agenda. The select board still, I believe, meets hybrid, so you guys could choose to come in person or on Zoom. And they're just looking for they're doing this with all boards and committees. It's not just us. And they're looking for like a general overview of like our current projects and what we have going on. As I have more information, I will definitely let you guys know what that should look like or materials we should prepare. That's all I know at this point, but they do meet at 7 in conference room A.
Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't have anything booked at the moment. There is only one possibility for something work to show up, but that would be, I don't think so. I don't think that's an issue. But from my perspective at this point, I don't have an issue with that. I will probably show up in person,
Yeah.
just to be present and so forth. So I think we need to just think about, if people are going to show up in person, just how we would do that with having other people, having it hybrid. I don't think it's a big issue. We do CPC hybrid a lot of times. So it's just being aware of, you got to make sure you include the people online and make sure that, and I don't think we would have a problem. Whoever's running it, we can watch that to make sure we get everyone's input. So
I'd plan on going in person unless I'm sick or
yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
same here. I can probably go in person.
Yeah.
Well, to simplify it, and I've never done an in-person meeting in my time. I missed it by, I think, 1 or 2 meetings. So
I actually kind of miss the in-person meetings. I wish we could do kind of alternating or something. I actually enjoy going to CPC and actually see people face to face. And I'm, we're all 5-10 minutes away, other than staff, who are not as adjacent as we are. But
it can be remote, right?
I'm not gonna complain. We do fine. I think, I know there's a lot of discussion on the state level. There's a lot of advocates that say everything should be back in person. There's some people that say everything should be, hybrid, or people that say it should be, remote or whatever. I think, it's really about giving people access. I like the hybrid just because you do have some people who, for whatever reason, can't make it out or whatever. I think gives them the opportunity, if they really want to listen in or something or participate, they can. I don't have super strong feelings other than making sure a public hearing or meeting is available to people. That's all. So, but okay. Anything else? I just like to thank Leah for inviting us out to go look at UPS.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was, it was as big as I thought it would be. I kept saying that. It's like I was stunned at the progress and at the size of some of the retaining walls and the efficiency of their having the site and how it's working in the whole earth moving efforts on site. So it was I don't know. I like going to construction sites. What can I say? So for me, I enjoyed it, but it was good to see. I was also impressed with how well they have it planned and how attentive they are to the all of the different considerations of being an efficient construction site. It's clean, it's organized, it's safe. Safety is a big issue for them. So I was impressed with their professionalism, which I think helps us, which is why when they had an issue, they came right to us. So I think that's something to, appreciate the professionalism on how they run their site. So I was pretty impressed with that.
I agree.
So, yeah, but it was fun. It's a big site. It's really, really a lot of earthwork.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest earthwork projects I've seen in person. I've seen a few big ones, but it was all good. So I appreciate that, Leah, and obviously right down the street. And yes, I still can tell when they're blasting when I'm home. It is what it is. It doesn't impact me at all, but you can tell when they're blasting because they're doing big charges. So, all right. Other than that, one last thing.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
You have a motion, a second to adjourn. Roll call vote. Amira,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
I am also a yes. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, staff.